Taking your first trip to Paris can be really exciting, but it can be intimidating too. Many first-time visitors don't even know what they don't know, and it can be scary. But over the past 3 years, we've heard from many tourists about things they wish they knew before coming to Paris. So in this video, we'll share the top 10 mistakes first-time visitors make when visiting Paris, so you don't have to learn it the hard way. Allez, on y va.
The first mistake first-time visitors make when they come to Paris is not planning their transportation from the airport to the city. It may sound funny, but we hear it all the time. And maybe it's because when you're at home, you just come out of the airport and hop in a cab or call an Uber when you land. When you get to Paris after a super long flight, chances are you're going to be exhausted and a little bit off guard. And there are a few options for how to get to your hotel. First, you have the train station with efficient public transportation inside the airport, or you can hire an Uber or other ride shares who will wait for you by the curb outside, or hire a private driver to meet you inside the airport and take care of everything until you get to your hotel. You can even schedule that with a brief tour of Paris highlights if it's a long wait until check-in time. Now, we've put a link in the description with a couple of options that you can choose from. And the last option, of course, is you can take a taxi. As soon as you exit the baggage claim area, you'll see a lot of people asking you if you want a taxi ride. And whatever you do, don't take it. These are scam artists. It is illegal for professional taxi driver to solicit rides inside the airport. We did a whole video on the taxi scam. I'm going to put a link in the description. I'd recommend that you check it out before you arrive in Paris. But if you want to take a taxi, it's safe and a good option. Just follow the clearly marked sign and footprints on the floor to the official taxi stand. It's just outside. The flat rate fees are posted on big signs both inside and outside. Just walk past those scammers, just say no and keep walking. But whatever way you choose to get to your hotel, plan it in advance so you're not making decisions about it when you're exhausted.
The next mistake first-time visitors make is overthinking what you need to wear and overpacking just in case. It's true that Paris is a fashion capital, but that doesn't mean that you need to dress to impress anyone but yourself. Nobody cares what you're wearing here, and you'll probably never even wear those extra shoes and outfits. You'll be schlepping those big bags around cobblestone streets and climbing stairs. It's just not worth it. Pack classic, comfortable things that can adjust between day and night by adding a jacket or a sweater. Bring interchangeable layers to get a different look for different days, and you'll want to spend way more time out visiting Paris than in your hotel room changing clothes again. And you may want to pick up a few extra items while you're here anyway. And we'll tell you a little later how you can get a refund on some of those shopping monies that you spend if you do. So dress for comfort and dress for you. Another mistake first-time visitors make is doing all the stuff that somebody else told you have to do instead of doing what you love. Honestly, I've traveled to Paris over 20 times before moving here, and I'm still discovering amazing things I never knew in this city. Art, food, fashion, history, architecture, literature, culture. So if you're doing all the things you're supposed to be doing, you'll miss out on things that would feed your soul for a lifetime. You don't have to spend half a day standing in line to get to the top of the Eiffel Tower. You can live happily ever after without ever entering the Louvre. And if you're not drawn to doing those things, go get lost in an antique shop or walking along the Seine, take a cooking or perfume class, or just sit and people watch. You don't have to do the overcrowded TikTok tour of Paris to have a good time. Another mistake first-time visitors do is build unrealistic itineraries. I mean, I get it. You're in Paris for a few days, you want to see and do as much as possible, but there are some things you should think about when you build your itinerary. It happens all the time that first-time visitors pack too many activities into one day without understanding how much time each thing takes or how long it takes to get from one place to another. And worse yet, they buy tickets without taking into consideration that they'll be bouncing all around the city instead of planning to do things and eat in restaurants that are all in the same area on the same day. Our best advice is to cut some of that stuff out of your itinerary, put one major thing per day, and plan on time for wandering and exploring the city. Trust me, you'll appreciate that.
Which leads to the next mistake, which is underestimating the effect that jet lag will have on you. If I had $1 for every tourist that bought tickets for something and missed it because they overslept, I'd be a rich guy. Adjusting to a new time zone is definitely something to manage. Of course, this will be different for people visiting from different places. For us traveling from the East Coast to the US, we fly overnight, land in the morning, and push through the day and try not to go to bed before 9 p.m. It's a long day after a rough night trying to sleep in an airplane seat, but the excitement of the city can pull you through. On day one, plan on activities that will give you the lay of the land, like a cruise on the River Seine or something with a nice view of the Paris skyline. But on day two, I wouldn't buy any timestamp ticket for the morning. Save those for the afternoon or evening and spend your morning exploring and having a nice croissant in a boulangerie. By the way, for your first trip to Paris, if you're looking for the best restaurants, best hotels, best attraction, best street food, we've put a guide for each of those things together. We even bundled it together in one. I put a link in the description. Check it out and see if it's a good fit for you.
The next mistake has to do with money, because people ask us all the time, how much cash should I bring when I go to Paris? The truth is, not a lot. Contactless payments like Apple Pay, Google Pay, or PayPal are quite common. And digital wallet banks like Wise or Revolut are another great way, because you can set up a separate account in euros to save for your trip and exchange currency when the rates are most favorable. The thing you need to know in advance is what your bank or your credit card company are charging for international rate exchanges and whether or not they charge a transaction fee. Some places charge you to use your own money, and others are a lot more forgiving. And don't forget to let your credit card company know you're going to be traveling, because you don't want to get caught in a foreign country with fraud alerts that you can't respond to by text.
Another mistake that first-timers in Paris make is not having a data plan for the mobile phone or trusting what your mobile provider is saying. Recently, someone shared in our Facebook group that T-Mobile claimed it would work perfectly in France, and once in Paris, it didn't work. And others say that it worked perfectly. In any case, being prepared can make a huge difference. In France and all over Europe, we use WhatsApp a lot. The vendors, drivers, guides, and hotels, all of them will use it to communicate. So make sure to download it and have it ready to go once you land in France. And the best part is WhatsApp is free to use as long as you have Wi-Fi and an internet connection. Next, I would consider buying a European SIM card for Europe. Some US providers charge up to $10 a day for international data usage, so it can really add up quickly. Buying a European SIM card could save you a few bucks and give you data for maps and making phone calls. SIM card provider like AIRALO start at $5 and up to $36 for 20 gigs of data. And a lot of people rave about AIRALO. So I'm going to put a link in the description with the details on how to set it up, including a link to AIRALO with a 10% discount for you. So make sure to check it out and see if it's a good fit for you.
Another mistake people make in France is not taking advantage of the VAT tax. In France, the price posted when you buy something in a store is what you pay out the door, and the tax is already included. But that means both sales tax and the VAT tax, or value-added tax, which can be as much as 23%, and it's meant for locals, not for tourists. But it is included in the price, so you actually have to pay it, but you're entitled to a refund if you spend over 100 euros. And you can find more information about that in our video on shopping, but you definitely want to take advantage of that, whether you get your refund in a store or at the airport or with one of the apps. Check out this video to know what to do.
Another mistake that first-time tourists make in Paris is tipping way too much in restaurants. And I think it's a tough habit to break. In the US and other parts of the world, we add 15 to 20% for the server at the end of the meal. In France, you don't have to do that at all. Of course, they appreciate it, and if they are extra helpful with the menu item and speak English to you, they deserve something. But the 15 to 20% Americans leave is over the top for tipping in France. 1 or 2 euros is plenty. 5 euros would be a big tip. This is definitely a place where you can save a few bucks and still honor your server. Another mistake that first-timers make in Paris is spend way too much on restaurants. There are a few ways visitors spend more than they have to in Paris restaurants. One is not taking advantage of the Formule menu at lunchtime. This is a special price for a combination of either an appetizer and a main course or a main course and a dessert. And for the boulangerie, it's a sandwich, a dessert, plus a beverage. And sometimes it comes with a glass of wine. This is definitely a way to save a few euros and not compromising on quality.
In this video, you learned about the top 10 mistakes first-timers make in Paris. Next, I would watch this video on how long it takes to do things in Paris.